action or like lines.
Each character just has little mumbles.
Yeah.
Throughout
Whereas,
their dialogue.
like,
So like, let me see if I got this right. Banjo goes like, ooh, ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, 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 ooh. All right, puppers, welcome back to Pac-Man World. In the last part, we finished the pirate world. In this part, we're doing the Crisis Cavern.
Ooh.
And look who it is. Our 8-legged friends appearing in yet another video game.
I don't see them yet.
Oh, they were on the loading screen.
Oh, okay.
But
I see their little webs.
yeah, they'll be showing up. My God, I always say that, where it's just like, hey, can you remove the webs at the top of the entryway? My coworkers and I'll be like, is there a homeowner in it? Like, there was this one time when Derek just, like, handed me a handkerchief, and it's just like, hey, just throw this away. It has a cobweb, and I'm just like, is there a homeowner there as well? Or did they get evicted? This is very important information. Otherwise, I am flinging this at your face. Oh, my gosh.
I went downstairs into the basement to work on some paper, making paper, and there was a giant house spider.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I am so sorry, ma'am. I'll just be a minute. She was wrapping another house spider.
Ew.
And I was like, I didn't mean to interrupt your meal.
Creepy.
She's meal prepping. You know, I get it.
Well, alrighty then. Yeah, this is a tricky level because of the very poor lighting.
I think one of my favorite spider moments that we've had so far has been when Luna brought you a spider.
Yeah, that's always nice. These spiders let out an evil cackle when you squash them. They go, you can hear their evil little chuckle.
Have you ever thought that spiders come up to you when you're in your room because they just want to pay your rent?
I mean, that was the deal I had with, like, the orb weaver outside my window at my parents' house.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, if you kill all the bugs, you can stay. Also, you have to stay 6 feet. Like, 6 feet before 6 feet became a thing. I was just like, 6 feet,
I feel like
and
your dad
squash
killed
you.
her. She just stopped showing up one day.
Maybe. I don't know.
I asked about her every time that we video chatted. I was like, how is she?
Well, we have a new, like, little spider friend. She acts like she's dead.
I think
just,
she's
like,
dead.
Aw.
Like, I haven't seen her move in like 2 days.
Yeah, she's kind of like just like tucked in a corner. And I'm just like, did she just like crawl up there to die? Because I didn't do anything. Careful, we got like booby traps here. If you step on those platforms, rocks come down and fall on you. And those white platforms, they collapse.
Okay.
See?
Yeah. Got it.
So yeah, this is a pretty dangerous level, if I do say so myself.
If I do say so, my shit.
Oh dear. So yeah, for those platforms, you want to like jump on the edges. See like the frames?
Yeah.
Oops, bump the mic, sorry. You don't want to like jump directly in the middle.
Oh, you weren't looking at me, but I gave you the look that you give me whenever I bump the microphone or the table.
Oh, that one. Oh my God. You described that look and I was just like, get serious. And then I saw it in the Pleasantville review.
Yes.
And I was wheezing because it just had, I had to grayscale it to point it because I never saw that look. I've always had you describe the look to me. And now I see the look and I'm just like, well, she may have a point there.
Well, because like you get mad when I say what. Because I do a face when I say what. And it makes you mad.
Infuriating face.
And I can't help the face because I don't know what the face is.
Right.
And it's just habit, I guess.
I'm hoping one day you give it to me in a video so I can freeze frame it, print it out, laminate it, and be like, this is the look, sweetie.
Meanwhile, it's just my face.
Yeah, I promise you it's not. It's a very distinct eyebrow twitch that just comes off as very condescending. And I don't like it.
Whereas in reality, it's either A, I genuinely didn't hear you, or B, ADHD is kicking in and my brain just hasn't caught up to what you've said yet.
Okay. So that's the reality of the situation.
Yes.
But the way I perceive it is not reality, but also not very reassuring. So, there is that.
I do have very expressive eyebrows.
That you do. Spider, there you go. Squeesh. So at the time of this recording, Pac-Man World Repack has been released.
Oh.
That is the HD remake. And I watched a couple clips just to see the comparison.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely changed some of the boss battles, arguably for the better.
Okay.
But the biggest thing, and I don't know if they took notes from Klonoa or what, but there's subtitles, which is a positive.
Okay.
But characters now talk in like Pac-Manese. Babble. Yes, babble talk. Like that. And I'm just like, huh.
I don't know how I feel about it. Like,
Well, yeah, because this intro specifically, even though it didn't have subtitles, had just characters being like, what do you want? The real Pac-Man's here. I mean, the fake, clearly.
I don't know. For me, it's just like, whenever it's the babble with the subtitles, I'm like, you have somebody voicing the babble. Why wouldn't you just have them say the line? Mm-hmm. Because they're still doing inflection and putting emotion into it. They're not just like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, they're still acting. So, like, why wouldn't you just have them say the line?
Yeah, like that one's odd. Because, like, the excuse I'll make is for Banjo-Kazooie also has babble. But that was because Nintendo 64 couldn't really fit dialogue on those cartridges.
Yeah.
They had a limited amount of space. So the characters in Banjo-Kazooie, they go like...
Yeah.
Ar, 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 ar.
Yeah. But that's all they'll say, though, right? Like, they don't have inflection or, like, lines.
Each character just has little mumbles.
Yeah.
Throughout
Whereas,
their dialogue.
like,
So, like... Let me see if I got this right. Banjo goes like, oh, oh, oh,
Yeah.
oh, 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 oh.
But, like, in Klonoa, they like, say their lines
Yes.
with inflection. And, like,
Just
the only...
in their own language.
The only thing that I could imagine that would be beneficial for is translating the game into different languages.
You don't
Because
have to
then,
hire
you don't have
actors
to
for
hire
each
different
version.
actors. You just change the subtitles.
That
Like,
could
that's the
very
only
well
reason
be.
I can think about it. But, like,
It is a cheaper option
Yeah.
than having to dub in, like, all the different languages.
yeah.
Because, like, originally it's a Japanese game, then you got the English dub, then you got, like, the Italian dub, the French dub.
Yeah.
So, like, I could definitely see just if everything is babble, no matter what the region is.
Yeah.
That could definitely
Then you just
trim
change
on
the
cost.
subtitles.
And, like, as beautiful as all of these remakes are, there is just a sense of, hey, we cut a couple corners just so this wouldn't be super expensive in case
Yeah.
this doesn't sell well. Because we know people love it, they grew up with it, but we don't know if it's going to sell
Yeah.
tremendously. So we're not going to put all that much money into it, because that was a statement released with the Klonoa games. They're just like, yeah, we're glad that it came to happen, but the head of this company doesn't really have high hopes for it.
Yeah.
He's just like, all right, sure. I'll greenlight this, I guess, but I'm not expecting much of it. Which is why so many people were just like, buy this game, prove him wrong.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like a similar situation, which happens to a lot of the platforming games now and then, because like nobody's worried about Mario.
Right.
We feel Mario games are just gonna keep coming. Nobody's even that worried about Sonic. Some are, but like out of all the platformers, Mario and Sonic are kind of like in the safe zone.
Yeah.
It's the other guys that are just like, okay, we need to prove that they were more than just a product of the time. Do they have appeal with more than one generation?
Sometimes, like, I can see that working for some, but then I think about others and I'm like, no, it is just a product of its time. Leave it alone. Make something new, make something different. Like, that guy stays in the 80s. That guy stays in the 90s. Like, don't try to
Or just
modernize them.
do
Like,
another Hat in Time to where it's elements of that era.
of the retro
but
with something
in a new
Yeah.
flair. Because I think that was the best thing about a Hat in Time.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, look out, little puffer guy. Don't mind me. Wait. Swimming controls were never the best in this era.
Or ever.
Trying to think of a game. Not too many. Not too many games with like awesome swimming controls. I think my favorite is like the Donkey Kong games, which you haven't played.
Right.
But those are my personal favorite of like swimming controls. Now there are some that are worse than others, and like again, having grown up in this era, I do have a higher tolerance of swimming controls.
Yeah.
But even I can admit that like swimming controls are just rough. They're a rough patch.
Yeah. I know like Ys, you could technically swim. It wasn't really swimming though. You would like sink to the bottom and run on the bottom.
Yeah. And you just had like a difference in gravity.
Yeah. Like you didn't move as quickly, like you were a little bit slower, but there wasn't like any pushback or like buoyancy or anything like that.
I get you. So there's actually a button where you can like view the entire maze of these bonus games. And like it helps a little bit to see like where everything's at.
Yeah.
But also you need to be aware of like the little obstacles in the way. Like see those rocks falling in certain tiles?
Yeah.
Those are constantly happening. So later on, we're going to have more and more ridiculous obstacles to where it's not just, oh, hey, avoid the ghost.
Right.
No, you got to time yourself with the obstacles. And because I'm just not as skilled as I'd like to be, there's moments where I have to choose, all right, am I getting hit by the ghost or am I getting hit by the obstacle? Because I got to keep going.
Right.
Because the obstacle's about to appear in front of me, and the ghosts are going to pop up behind me. So it's like, well, so that's why I center back to this. So I can actually see more of what's happening with the, oh, that wasn't fair.
Oh.
I spawned right when the ghost spawned. But I'm pretty sure I explained this before, but when you die, you just have to collect the remaining
Right.
parts.
It's not gonna reset.
You don't have to start all over, which makes this a lot nicer than previous Pac-Man games.
Okay.
Which, it's funny. So in episode 1, you're just like, I don't remember more than just the original Pac-Man. I looked it up. There's actually a ton of Pac-Man games I didn't even know about, like Pac-Man Jr.
Okay.
Pac-Man Jr. is a thing. There's obviously like Mrs. Pac-Man. There's a Pac in Time.
Again, I was mainly like an arcade kid, so like I didn't.
Pac-Mania.
I knew Pac-Man and Mrs. Pac-Man.
Whereas his design in Japan always had the arms and legs. His first design in America was actually this like little yellow guy with legs and kind of like a squirmy mouth. But it was quickly replaced by the Pac-Man you see today.
Yeah.
The arms and legs guy. But
I'm
he
like-
always had that design in artwork.
Okay.
Because like even on like the official like machine, you had the Pac-Man character. And also, like, Pac-Man was on the NES. They ported it to the first Nintendo. And he had an image very similar to the design he has in this game.
He looked kind of like a frog.
Yeah.
I think that's why it didn't register to me that he had, like, arms and legs. Because, A, they were the same color.
Yeah. But if you look at, like, Pac-Man for the Nintendo, you can see his design is much more similar to what's shown here.
Yeah.
And that's what became his permanent design going forward. So, I can clarify that this was not a Pac-Man world design choice. This was the design he's had
For a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hooray, I spelled Pac-Man.
But yeah, you know, like, right down the hill, where, like, you could either at the stoplight. So at that corner, if you're like looking at the stoplight at the end of our hill and you look to the building on the left,
Right. Oh, shit.
that used to be the arcade.
I activated that. Oh, wow.
So there were apartments above it, and then the bottom was like a candy store arcade.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like, they had, it dates me a little bit, but they had like the penny candy and quarter bags of candy, and then you could play the arcade games.
Okay.
So it's like my mom would give me and my brother like $5 in quarters, and we would just go down and buy candy and play games.
Aw, that's cool.
So
I didn't really have an arcade growing up. There was like a couple machines at like the Pizza Hut
Yeah.
or like a
Well,
restaurant
you
or
also,
something
where
like that.
you lived, like, you didn't really live within walking, like, safe walking distance.
No.
Whereas, like, I mean, you could argue about the safety, you know, growing up here, but
Correct.
like, we would walk down to the arcade, and then up the hill there was like a convenience store that sold like ice cream cones and popsicles and stuff, and we would walk up there.
Because like the nearest thing
but
where
we
I
also-
used to live was that McDonald's at the
Yeah.
bottom of the hill.
But we also walked to school.
And then what else used to be there, which shut down, like I think when I was like 12 or 13, was a rental store, similar to
Yeah.
Blockbuster and Hollywood
Right.
Video. I forget what this one was called, but there was a game rental store. You could rent movies and video games and stuff like that. And that was where I got most of like my entertainment. There were no machines there. It
Yeah.
was just like pick a tape,
Right.
pick a movie, and
And then you'd go home and play.
yeah, go home and play. And God, I miss that store.
The Red Box at Giant Eagle has video games in it.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
But
I feel like I have way too many games to go back to renting.
yeah, for sure.
Whereas, like, in that era, like, I only grew up with, like, 20-some games. So,
Yeah.
like, seeing another game...
Well, with that, it was also inexpensive for
oh,
your
cool.
parents, too, because they were buying them for you. You weren't buying them yourself.
Exactly. Whereas, like, a $5 rental wasn't that big of a stretch.
You know? Right.
And it's something that my friend Slashstar mentions in his video. He's like, the internet at that time did not form my opinion on my video games.
Right.
My childhood did. So there was a lot of games where people were just like, this is the best game of all time. I'm like, didn't play it.
Yeah.
Just because of my circumstances, I didn't play it.
Right.
Okay, so in the next episode, we're going to do Manic Minds, the next part of Pac-Man World.
Toodles.